Welcome to the Fantasy NASCAR podcast. Let's look at the Xfinity series, salaries, find some value. We'll look at the cheap guys. We'll even look at the expensive guys because they do return value. They just have to score a lot of laps led, fast lap points. And we're just going to dive in. Let's go super quick. I do not like the Tier B mid-pack teams like Johnny Davis, BJ McLeod, Bobby Dotter, Tommy Joe Martins. These teams can compete at intermediate tracks, but they have to decide where they devote their resources. And Phoenix is such a unique track that there's really no reason to spend a lot of time on setups and chassis for Phoenix. And at the same time, the top tier teams know that this will be a championship race later in the year. So they're pouring a lot of money into setups and research for Phoenix. So there's just no way they can compete. So a lot of these small teams just punt it. And you can look at practice data and see the car unloaded slow each year, and then that car just doesn't do anything in the race. They're not drivers that I want, but if you're forced to play them, then whatever, because of salary constraints. You got 5 drivers you like. If one of them's starting in the back and it's your only option, then fine. If I had to pick a guy back here, it's not going to be Dawson Cram, although he does have that top 20. That wasn't with Johnny Davis. It was with Bobby Dotter, but, not much of a difference really. Typically, I mean, there's not. Blaine Perkins might be where I go. I believe a little bit more in seed cars, although they might not be Tier A of the mid-pack. They are at the top of Tier B. They are definitely faster than Johnny Davis, BJ McLeod, and Bobby Dotter. One thing I will note that with Perkins is he has been a pretty good short flat track driver. Martinsville, he's got some really strong results. Phoenix, ARCA series. I've talked about it in years past. It doesn't mean he's great, but if there is one place where he has excelled, it's been in that equipment. Now, that being said, it was with Our Motorsports. So he is not with Ours Motorsports. You may dial down expectations. I definitely would at this price. Leland Honeyman, I was big on Leland Honeyman last week. Every podcast. Pat myself on the back. One pick away from really nailing it last week, and I didn't miss because of Leland Honeyman. He was in the optimal lineup. Even when he qualified really well, pat myself back on the back again, I stuck with him. I'm a very strong believer in Randy Young moving up in the Xfinity Series program. He's way too cheap. So you don't even really need to consider those guys. You got the sugar daddy right here real cheap. Immerling, no. Bobby Darkard, no. Immerling, not the greatest driver, although I do expect him to be a little bit better now that he's not a part owner. I don't expect much. Frankie Muniz, love the story. I've got a Frankie Muniz shirt. It's got the state of Arizona on the back of it. He's just not ready. Although he did finish 6th in the ARCA race last year, that ARCA race spent 50% of the laps under caution. So that's not a telling result, but it is telling you about what you should do on Friday night is have some fun and watch some crazy wrecks in this ARCA race on Friday. I just love the story. There will be weeks where I'll have fun, but I'm not putting my money behind him. Not playing Smithley at JD. Maybe you consider Tommy Joe Martins and Ryan Ellis because he is cheap and he has put together some good results. But like I said, Tommy Joe Martins not that good. You just have to take my word for it. JD Motorsports, average finish 27th at Phoenix. Gosselin does have 4 top 20s, but their average finish 26th. Tommy Joe Martins, average 25th. Bobby Dotter, average finish of 27th. BJ McLeod, the same. I'm sorry if I'm slurring a little bit or stumbling. My throat is killing me, but I've got to sell spreadsheets. It's early in the month. We got to do videos. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, racefortheprize.com. Please go there. Please like, subscribe, share. This is my welfare moment of the month. I've got to hit it early and do videos. So even though I've got a sore throat and I am dying, I'm dying for you. And I hope you appreciate this video. Leeds is here. The Chesapeake native has been decent. He finished 19th at Phoenix in the Truck Series last year, running for Randy Young. Not a big sample size. I mean, what's the real difference between Ryan Ellis and Nick Leach? It's fine. Do not play Ryan Vargas. He is in a starting park Mike Harmon car for Jordan Anderson. I'm not going to go into the Jordan Anderson rant that I want to, but just make sure that if you're listening to someone and they're telling you to play someone, that they've done their homework. And if they get it wrong, then maybe you need to listen to somebody else. And if they get it wrong, they very at the least should apologize, not laugh about it. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to go any further. JJ Yaley, Bobby Dotter, like I said, there is a clear divide in the mid-pack between Tier A and Tier B. Same thing with Brennan Poole. There, intermediate tracks, we'll consider him. Road courses, we'll consider him. Super speedways, but a unique track like this, even the short tracks, they're in play. But I would say strongly that it's really not the week that I want to go there. I've got Honeyman here. Really, the only way I'm going to any of these guys is like, I don't have any money, and they're starting in the back. I do not expect anyone so far that we have mentioned to show up with real speed in practice other than Honeyman, who is just mispriced because he's new to the scene. Young is new to the scene. DraftKings hasn't figured it out. And this is partially due to ownership from last week. This is a new team, which is confusing the newbies at DFS NASCAR. Also, he started too close to the front, so his ownership was suppressed last week. That's why his salary is still cheap. This might be the last week we get him, so jump on it. That is why he is cheap. The algorithm is calculating all of that, and it doesn't know what you and I know. It's not watching the races. It's just a stupid computer based off of stupid players who are not doing homework whatsoever. I mean, if you're playing Jordan Anderson at Atlanta, you just, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? The modicum of early week research, it wasn't a surprise to anyone. We knew early in the week, like on Wednesday, don't play Jordan Anderson. It's just, I guess you don't do anything. Haley Deegan, yes, 6,200. Love Sawinski. Love Tim Self. Love AM Racing. Arca. Truck. They are making news too cheap. She's been good at Phoenix. Not great, but okay. Weatherman, strong. Although some of these results, I believe, are with Our Motorsports, but I think the majority of them are with Mario Gosselin. I like Weatherman. That's too cheap. Jeremy Clements is too cheap at 6,400. Top 20s in what? 6 of the last 7? I'll take it. Ryan Sieg, also very similar stats. He is too cheap. Why are these guys so cheap? I mean, it's not like a huge deal, but they are very affordable. And it makes me not really have to flirt with these guys in the back at all, which I don't think are going to do anything. Alfredo, Our Motorsports. If Blaine Perkins can get a top 20, then Alfredo can get a top 20 for Our Motorsports. This is a real Jordan Anderson car. And although Jeb Burton has not had the best start to the season, even though he really has, he's got top 15 driver rating, 17 driver rating, just didn't get the finishes. 6,900, Burton, yes. Josh Williams, 7,000. I've talked about it before. He's going to struggle in qualifying. He's going to struggle in practice because this is a car that he's not used to driving. But through the course of the race, he'll figure it out. And $7,000 for a colored car is too cheap. Parker Retzlaff is an absolute steal. I don't understand this. This is a track, like if you look at here, his worst finish is 36th. He had a hot rod in that race for Ryan Sieg in his first ever race. Great in practice, great in qualifying. Just had a mechanical issue that went down. A mechanical issue last week that got him. Yeah, that is a worry, but love it. Love him at 7,200. Corey Heim at 7,400 is very much playable. Again, the tier A of the mid-pack, these guys are definitely flirting with 15th, 20th place. Corey Heim is a good race car driver. He's got some support behind him. Pretty good last week. 13th highest driver rating at Las Vegas. That tells me he knows what he's doing. It tells me that Hunt is putting a good car behind him. Van Gisbergen, SVG. This might be a place where he stands out. It's always going to be a question because these are new tracks to him, but coming from a road course background, any track that has heavy braking and getting back on the throttle, and I would say Phoenix kind of is in that route, could be a place where he starts to excel. Struggled last week, but this could be the week where they put it all together or start putting it together. I don't know if I need to go there, but I had no interest in playing last week and it worked out, especially at his price. Here, it's a little bit more doable. Parker Clearman at 7,700, absolutely doable. Just kind of routinely get you top 15s every single week. Having good runs so far to start the season. 7,700 too cheap. Brandon Jones, on paper, looks too cheap based on what he used to do, but based on what he is now, I'd say he's a 10th place driver. Maybe it works if there's enough place differential there. I'm not really that crazy about it. Jesse Love at 8,200. Might be a little cheap, but I just don't see where he's going to go or where he fits. I'm more in love with going into this 7 to 6 range and then really stacking up here and chasing any place differential I can get up here. Same Mayer. I start to get a little bit intrigued here. If I remember correctly, Mayer had a good well, no. He's fine. I was thinking of something else, but maybe I can go in this route. I don't know. I don't know if I need to go to AJ Allmendinger, although this short flat track has suited him pretty well. 8,700 is a pretty affordable price. Let's see what he does in practice. Let's see how qualifying goes. I mean, there's a situation where he could qualify towards the front and get some laps led points or fast laps, and he doesn't really need to be in control of more than just a small segment of the race and finish the race in a good spot, and he could be a good point per dollar play because he is under 9K. Herbst has been solid. Stewart-Haas Racing has been solid at Phoenix. They are maybe one of the best teams. It's just the competition at the top of this week is so fierce that I don't see him leading laps over the guys he's competing with. I mean, we got Byron, we got Nemechek. All guys always good at Phoenix for some laps. Custer was really good there last year. Obviously, he won the championship. I'm expecting big things from Chandler Smith. Sheldon Creed's even on the fringe. Austin Hill is on the fringe. You can't even completely rule out Eric Almirola, but I'm not giving him any credit. So Herbst, I love what he has been doing, but this is a week where the field is tough. It's too tight. Same thing with Eric Almirola. The field is just too tough, too tight. I was never really a big Almirola guy to begin with. And I think the other guys have better cars, and I think the other guys have more talent and are more familiar with the Xfinity car. I don't believe it's going to be really that easy for Almirola to just jump in the Xfinity ride with more horsepower, less downforce. These cars drive differently than the next-gen car. They drive differently than what they had before that. So I'm not really a firm believer in Eric Almirola. It's great that he is doing some part-time work because he probably brought over some sponsorship. But other than that, maybe he's a lesser version of Ryan Truex. I can't believe I just said that. Austin Hill is always like right there. And there's sometimes he is there. But to this week, with this field, he's right there. And I can't see him out racing William Byron. Brandon McSwain, quick note, has been with Byron forever. They won Xfinity Series championships. He was the engineer, I believe. And then he went on to be the engineer for Reddick's championship. Then Chad Canales promoted him to the Cup Series. He's been working in the Cup Series with Byron forever. So now he's going to do some crew chiefing in the Xfinity Series as well. It's a busy weekend for McSwain. Might be overwhelming, but as far and it's going to be his first time crew chiefing, but it is William Byron. We'll see what happens in practice. Nemechek, Tyler Allen. Love Tyler Allen. Love John Hunter Nemechek. Check my tweets from earlier this week. He checks out, obviously. And we saw them all check out last week. Chandler Smith, Jeff Mendering, as I mentioned in another tweet, Jeff Mendering has been really good in the Xfinity Series at Phoenix with drivers that may not be that great. Now you got Chandler Smith, who has also been really good in the Truck Series at Phoenix and even in the Xfinity Series. He checks out. I love Nemechek. I love Smith. I am intrigued by Byron. We'll see what happens. I cannot believe that he's not just an auto play, but that's how good Nemechek could be. Same thing with Smith. And oh, by the way, Custer was solid and a lap leader in both races last year, so he's going to be fast. And Allgaier is always there. Now, he would be number 5 of this group. Typically, if you go back to like 1918, not the year, but 2019, 2018, Allgaier may have been better than Bell and Custer and Reddick at Phoenix. He's fallen off a little bit, and he's still pretty good here, but in this strong of a top-tier field, he's number 5. Smith, he had that big race, but I don't expect him to replicate that now that he's at Junior Motorsports. Sheldon Creed does have pretty solid results for RCR here the last 2 seasons. He's jumping over to Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs doesn't necessarily provide solid results across the board. Jeff Mendering has been pretty strong. Tyler Allen showed last week that he is strong. Sam McCauley's new on the scene. We don't really know what to expect, although we didn't really see much so far this season from Sheldon Creed. And I already touched on Austin Miller. That's going to do it. Hopefully that was enough analysis, giving you some guys in the pool. Top 5. Want to jam in as many of those as I can. Love this pack here between 16 and 26 on my cells, which would be 7,700 to 6,200. You can put Jones in there if you want. I'm not that crazy about it. And then obviously, I like Honeyman, Sugar Daddy, Leland Honeyman, Randy Young, Andrew Abbott stepping up from the Truck Series. You want to go to Perkins, whatever. You want to go to Ellis and Leitz. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, to tell you the truth, but I do know his stats and have followed him so far recently. Those are where I'm going. Like, subscribe, share, racesurprise.com. Blessed to have you guys around. Thank you for bearing with me as I struggle through this. And love you guys. Trip to Light's fantastic.